We showed you bits from the ASCI, or the Advertising Standards Council of India discussion Creativity for Goodness Sake in our last episode. Subita Karir managed to catch up with some of the speakers. Have a look at that.
Sir John Hegarty is one of the co-founders of BBH, Bartle Bogle Hegarty, a UK-born ad agency set up in 1982. The agency is known for its path-breaking creative ads like this one for Levi-Strauss. Audi's Was-Sprung Dosh technique was created by them, as was Keep Walking for Johnny Walker.
200 years later, and Johnny Walker's still walking, and he's not showing any signs of stop.
In fact, not just that, the agency has won every creative accolade and every award possible in the advertising industry. Presenting Sir John Hegarty on All About Ads Prime on maintaining honesty in the mad ad world of advertising.
We're talking about advertising, we're talking about a creative field, and I think exaggeration, hyperbole should be acceptable because it is used for a creative reason. So is the entire argument of regulating advertising even valid?
Well, I think it is. You know, I'm a libertarian. I don't believe in censorship. It generally doesn't work. It only works in totalitarian societies. We do have to remember, though, that it is I am imposing my view on you, you know. So I think we do carry a responsibility.
Talking about this digitally connected world where, you know, actually consumers are in charge. In that context, how important is it for brands to be honest about advertising and honest about businesses?
You know, I've always said the truth is the best advertising strategy you can employ. And if you look back at the history of advertising, those brands that have done really well, the advertising that people admired, has always had truth at its heart. The great Volkswagen campaign created by Dor Den Bernbach in New York in the early 60s. And that was basically, the strategy was it's ugly but it works. So the truth in advertising is in a sense always been there. The trouble is that lots of people who use advertising or who are employed by advertising believe the task you've got is to shroud the truth, is to sort of invent a truth, as opposed to look at a brand and expose the truth.
Advertising and marketing, you know, in that sense has really moved from a time when advertisers would actually depend on figment of the imagination, something that was not real. But today, consumers are also more acceptable to reality, and which is also, I mean, kind of reflecting in advertising. There is an ad by Dabur which is basically shows a bald woman. A hair care brand actually showing a bald woman, kind of portraying a reality that it's not your hair that's important, it's your inner strength. So, I mean, what do you have to say about
you know,
that?
those things will always happen. You'll always get a sense of where somebody goes, hey, I'm a hair care company, why don't I show somebody bald? Hey, that's going to get noticed, isn't it? That's a creative kind of device, if you like to call it that. But I think advertising is about escapism to a certain extent.
Yeah, so we are talking about ethics in advertising, you know, being honest, being truthful about what you are promising, what you're delivering. But can brutally honest advertising survive?
The answer to that is, of course, I'm trying to do things that are absolutely based in fact, but the task is to make them engaging. You know, if you just rely on the truth all the time, it just becomes rather tiresome.
Now that we're talking about honesty in advertising, my question to you is, does it also involve agencies to also say no, you know, to clients which actually manufacture or deal with products that are harmful?
It's an industry distanced from companies. Why are companies making untruthful claims? The advertising is just, it's like in the restaurant, it's the waiter. Yep, we bring you the food.
No, but
we didn't cook it.
Agencies also have to put their foot forward and say no to certain things.
Well, but it's not our job to do that. The reason I'm making this point is that companies hide behind advertising as an industry. Oh, it wasn't, you know, us P&G, we didn't do it. Yes, you did. You instructed the agency and you said this is it. And so advertising gets the blame, not P&G. I'm not saying P&G because they do this. I'm just using them as a company. But whatever the company is, they are the ones who should be taking responsibility to say, you know, no, this isn't right, I'm not going to say it. But they allow commercial pressure. God bless them.
This brings us to the next question, which is about self-regulation, you know, in advertising, be it by clients or be it by agencies. Do you think that possible in a creative industry like ours? Because, you know, what may seem regressive to someone may be progressive to the other person.
I think actually if you can make self-regulation work, I think it's better. I mean, certainly in the UK, we have self-regulation and it's worked incredibly well. The point is, you don't do that yourselves, somebody outside will do it, and that'll be much worse. Self-regulation is better than outside regulation.
There's a comedy collective called AIB, which got a lot of criticism because some groups of the society felt that the event they organized was really vulgar. Then there is something like Charlie Hebdo happening, right? And then there is this recent documentary that was banned. So do you think we as a society are becoming oversensitive to everything, and that in turn is impacting the kind of creative work that's coming out of the industry? This kind of pressure, you know, is that even conducive to creativity?
Well, I'm a great believer in free speech. Problem with free speech is people will say things that you don't necessarily approve of, but that's the essence of free speech. As long as you're not inciting somebody to violence, your censorship is the off knob.
The society is getting oversensitive, or if there's a backlash on each and everything that's happening. How is your agency and you as a creative director dealing with it?
Well, we try and make people laugh. And humor is a wonderful way of communicating and getting people to pay attention. So my only answer is make them laugh.
Some sections of the advertising industry, they say that, oh, we don't have enough laws to regulate advertising to basically ensure compliance. Is that kind of reflecting towards a paucity in thinking? Maybe that's a way to get away with doing mediocre work?
I don't think everything in life is solved by laws. You know, I think in many ways, if we could have fewer, it would be better. Constantly looking to laws is wrong. And I think self-regulation is a way around that. If the big serial offenders are constantly offending, then why not name the names? I'm a great believer in name the names.
And lastly,
Can honesty in advertising and creativity coexist?
Well, we've got lots of examples. And, you know, we did a whole campaign for Levi's that was based on telling you the truth about the brands. The more you wash them, the better they get.
Although I'm quite aware that here and there are traces about the boy.
And I liked them after maybe 1 or 2, 3 years. You know, these were truths about the way you approached your product. You've got to be creative how you use it, and you've got to do it in an engaging way. Creativity is about not shocking somebody, it's about how you engage with somebody. People like people who tell the truth.
So it's more about talent and how well you can package the truth with something interesting and engaging.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. On that note, thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Now back to our coverage of AdTech New Delhi.